All right, that's what I've got. Check your numbers. I don't care for the mode, but somebody tell me what the mode is. I'm sorry, say again?
72 and 80.
70 what?
72 and 80.
72 and 80. Does everybody agree with that?
93.
Huh?
93.
Or 93. Which one's got the most?
Got two.
All three? Okay, so you got three modes. So it's trimodal. Which I don't care, but the homework and the test may ask you that, so you need to know. Okay? Empirical rule says that between 69 and 104 is called what? Thank you. What's this out here? Well, this is unusual. And 3 standard deviations is your 6 foot third graders. Up here, same thing. 3rd standard deviation, that's unusual. And this is outlier. Make sure you know your percentages also. There is a couple of questions on the test. I think the homework, I think there's one question that says there's a premature birth. I can't remember, but it gives you positive or negative standard deviation of 15 days. And then they ask you a bunch of questions about percentages. Well, that's nothing but 100% empirical rule, and you put 0 in the middle, 15 and 30, negative 15, negative 30, and then you answer the questions. Okay, so that's where you see and there's one of those on the test. So make sure either if you don't understand it, make sure you send that question in before what's today? Tuesday, before Thursday, because Thursday looks like the review. That means we're going to review over questions that you send on 5-number summary, as well as, and I think I got some questions up there I got to go over today, or we'll do it Thursday. And I'll throw the test up and let you look at it. Okay? Now, realize that's not going to be the same test that you get. I'm not stupid. All right? Each one of my questions pulls from at least 10 or 15 questions. So one of my unit tests may have 225 questions to pull from if I give you 15 questions. You understand? So, and I reorder them, and I also algorithmically generate it. So if you sit beside each other in the computer lab, there's no way you're going to get the same test. Now, if you want to help each other with the test, knock yourself out. Well, what is that going to eat up? Say again? Time. Time, you don't have any control over it. Even though you do have some others that try to control it, but they can't. It's really embarrassing. Yes?
How do you get the numbers to the left and right of the mean again?
Add and subtract. Just remember your number line. 0, what do you do to the right? You add. What do you do to the left?
Well, what number do you
The standard deviation. The most two important numbers, what are they? The mean and the what? Standard deviation. Now, why have I got the other ones? Okay, well, we're going to read this. I want everybody to read this. Remember your fuel indicator on your car. All right? Which way do we read? Left to right. So, if I make this my fuel indicator, what's all the way to the left? Empty, which means 0%. Okay? Then what? Let me do this in red because it's going to get confusing. Hold on a second. I'm just going to put it around here, a squiggly line, meaning in this area, we consider it 0%. Now, if we read right in here, what's your next indicator on your fuel indicator? Quarter what? Quarter of a tank. So this is your first, what? Quartile. Quarter of a tank, first quartile. It's also called, yes sir?
I thought we put the in the middle.
Oh, that's my mistake. I'm sorry, I'll fix that. Thank you. You're going to fail. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you. I'll fix it in just a second. Remind me to fix that. I must have clicked on the wrong cell. All right, what is this? This is your median. It's supposed to be your median. Let's just change it right now. What is it? 85.3. Well, I got to change. No, let me just change it right now. 85.37. Let me just pick. I must have picked the wrong cell. No, I don't know what I'm doing. That's what it is. Equals. Oh, I know why I did that. Because when we do the 5-number summary, your median is your middle. That's why I did that subconsciously. I think that's why. And plus, I had it marked. So that should be. That's probably why you had your question. You were probably confused. That's why. Okay, I'm sorry. All right. So this is your median, and it's also your second what? Second quartile. Now, these also have another name. This one's called, what goes with a quarter? What number do you associate with a quarter? 25 cents. So, 25th percentile. Are they the same thing? Yes. And that is one of those standardized test questions. They may do one question and say, what is the 50th percentile? And then they'll go over here and say, what is the second quartile? And they'll give you the same choices. It's the same thing. Okay? So remember that. This is called the what? Not the second quartile, but also the what? 50th percentile. And around the third area, that's about what of a tank? 3/4. So that's your third quartile. And your what? 75th percentile. Now each one of these have a number right down here. Okay? Right on your scale. Right in here. Well, that one's your median and right in here. And you got to find those numbers. And they're real easy to find. Now, the 5-number summary consists of 5 numbers. They're in blue. 3 of them's in blue. Right over there. You don't even have to recalculate them. They're already there. That's one of the reasons I teach you to do that whole list of things. Because you already got it. The only 2 you got to find is the 2nd quartile and the 3rd quartile. It's real easy to find because all you need to do is find the median of the median. What are you talking about? Well, where is your median? Your median is right here. Does everybody agree with that? Because it's between those 2 numbers in blue. So all you have to do is draw where your median is. Now, if the n is odd, it's that middle number, and you count the numbers above it. This one, you count the numbers above it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? What is n? N is even, right? So we got to take the median using what? Those 2 numbers. You got 3 below, you got 3 what? Above. So in this case, we don't have to calculate it. Your first quartile is 8. Okay, so I'm going to put right here, I'm just going to put an 80 right there. That's your first quartile. Your second quartile is what? That right there. So 85 is your second quartile. And I'm just rounding because I don't want to have to write all that stuff up there. Okay? And your third quartile is your mean of your bottom, your median of your bottom 8. So go ahead and find the mean of the bottom. The median of the bottom at top, bottom 8. There should be 8 numbers below that dot. Make sure you put that dot, because if you don't put that dot, you're going to get confused and mess it up. I'm not going to go down there, but somebody tell me what the average of those 2 numbers are. 93? Does everybody agree with that? Can I get a second? Okay, 93. So 93, okay, it's back here. I drew it in the wrong place. It's back here. 93 is your third number. Now, if you add your min and max to that, how many numbers is that? 5. And that's your 5-number summary. Okay? Real easy to find. Now, I have seen people get lobotomized in a Math 120 class by a teacher that showed them 5-number summary. It's not difficult. It's very simple. Now, what the heck do you do with it? Well, you notice I have the mid-range over there in orange. I never have said anything about the mid-range. The only thing I've told you about the mid-range is that it represents, I saw that young one, it represents the middle of the what? The number line. Remember me telling you that? So you got to draw a number line. So down below your normal distribution, I want you to draw a number line. Don't put numbers on it, just draw a number line. I'm going to do it in black. Don't draw the arrows, that's just habit. Just put hash marks at the end. And you have to do that on the test, because some of the test questions, they won't have a hash mark right there, and if you pick it, it's wrong. If you pick the line with no marks on the end, it's wrong. Now, what do you think is going to go on the farthest left and the farthest right? Min and max. The min, the max, and the mid-range. Write this down. The min, the max, and the mid-range is for your, write this down, for the number line. Because there's 2 parts to a box plot. The number line and the box. You use the number line to locate the box. So those 3 represent the number line. So now I've got to graduate the number line. I hope I have enough room. 70, 98, and 84. Now that's not enough information. Why? Because you've got to plot something on this number line, and you can't plot unless you have enough what? Graduations. You don't know what a graduation is. Y'all all been in chemistry and biology, right? Graduated cylinder, meaning it has marks all the way up. So you got to have marks all the way up and down your number line. Now you call what's it called? Now you use what's it called? I don't want to shut up. It's the drugs. What you use now is called interpolation. You know what interpolation is? It's finding the middle of the middle of the middle of the middle. Find the mid-range of the mid-range of the mid-range. Just keep going until you get the numbers that you want or the graduations that you want. What's the difference between 70 and 84?
14.
What's half of 14? 7. So I'm going to add 7 to 70, and that'll give me what? 77. Add 7 to 84, and that'll give me what? 91. Now find the middle of those. 3.5. Add 3.5 to each one of those. Take it as far as you want. I don't care how many points you put on your number line, but you need to have at least 6 or 7 to accurately plot your what? Your box plot. So go ahead and put a few more marks on there. Now, is the number line numerical or is it basically physical? It's physical. Why? Because it's not carrying any mathematical weight. What it is it's something that you can what on? Locate on. Remember that, because a lot of people, they get the box plot, they think the box plot goes with the number line. No. The box plot depends on the number line. If you don't have the number line, you don't have a box plot, because you can't locate it. So, I'm going to go ahead and add 3. Why am I just adding 3? Because what are we doing? Rocket science, or are we just locating a box on a number line? We're locating a box on a number line, so we don't have to worry about the decimals. I'm just adding 3. If you want to add 4, you can add 4. It doesn't matter. 91, that's 94, right? If you want to add 3.5, then add 3.5. It's whatever you want to do. Now, what do you plot? Well, there's only 3 numbers left in the 5-number summary. What are they? The 3 in red. 80, 85, and 93. So now we're going to draw the box, and the box is going to be made up of 3 lines. Those 3 numbers. So plot those numbers. You can put it on the number line. I'm going to do it a different color. Or you can do it above. I do mine above. So 80 is right there. 93 is right there. And 85 is right there. And that's your box plot. It's real difficult, isn't it? It's not. It's real simple. So the first thing you do is you establish your number line, which is made up of what? The min, max, and the what? Mid-range. That's why a lot of times I call it the midpoint, because people understand it better as a midpoint. It's the middle of the number line. All right, what else? And then the box plot is what? Is the 3 numbers that you haven't used, which is the first quartile, the second quartile, which is the median, and the third quartile. And what the heck does this mean? Well, that's one thing about statistics that you need to be able to say when you get out of statistics, is what does it all mean? Just like before, I told you to look at those 3 numbers to interpret whether your data is what? Valid. All right, now this box plot tells you the same thing. Everything in statistics surrounds around one thing, and it's not a number. It starts with an M. Some people say it starts with a C, but it's not a number. It's the middle. The middle. Everything around statistics revolves around the middle of the data. Okay? Some people may call it central tendency. Okay, that's just a 25-cent word for middle. Now, where is the middle? Well, you just found it. The middle is what we call the mid-range. So I want you to draw a squiggly line in a different color around, down through the central tendency, whatever, the middle. Now, this is a graphical representation of the validity of your data, just like you looked at those three numbers. Where is the middle line of your box plot in relation to that squiggly line? It's just a little bit to the what? To the right. So therefore, your data is pretty much valid. You don't have very many outliers. Okay? If it falls right on that 84, then, but also, look at your three numbers again. The mean is 85. The median, 87. And then the mid-range is what? 84. All of that is within what? 2 or 3 points. So you're good. Standard deviation, pretty much what? It's on a 10-point scale. You got below 8.9, which is 9. So it's within the 10-point scale. So it's pretty much small. So everything, the standard deviation is small. The three numbers line up. And then your box plot, the middle of your box plot is near the middle or the mid-range. So therefore, all three of your indicators are telling you that your numbers is either they're in the same ballpark, or you can look at it as there's no unusual numbers, data, or there's no outliers. And that's how you do the 5-number summary. Any questions on that? Pretty simple. So make sure you can do at least one or two of the questions. Now, in a minute, I'm going to show you how to do it on your calculator. But remember, you can't see it as well on your calculator because it's up in the first quadrant, probably up there around 75 and 80. All right, so you're going to have to do the zoom stat just so you can see it, and you have to use the trace button because you can't see your X value. So there's a little bit of pro and con to doing it by hand versus doing it with the calculator. But I trust y'all will do whatever y'all want to do and make the right decision on which one to do. Any questions on this? Okay, so I'm just going to show you, for those of you that have a calculator, get it out. I'm not going to put 15 numbers in there because I don't feel like doing that. But I'll show you what to do, and some of you may know it, and some of y'all are on the calculator drill team in high school, and that's great, but I'm teaching the person that just bought their calculator and don't know how to do it, okay? So, you take your handy-dandy calculator, a handy-dandy virtual calculator, and you pull it up, and you turn it on, go to Stat, go to Edit, and I'm going to put in 10 numbers. Let's put in 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. I think that's 10, isn't it? Yeah, I think so. Or is it 11? Yeah, 10. Okay. Now I go to Stat, and if you want to put it in order, lost my mouse, hold on. You go to Stat and go to Sort A for ascending and hit Enter and hit second, 1, close parenthesis, Enter, and it's done. Okay, I knew it. I knew y'all couldn't last 3 weeks. What did I tell y'all about texting in class? Somebody, come on, what did I tell you? Yeah, but it's also what? Rude and what? Disrespectful. If you need to text, if your medication isn't working and you can't make it an hour and a half without texting, go out in the hallway and text. Didn't I ask you to do that? All right, now the first time's a shot across the bow. Second time, I'm going to just flat ass embarrass you. I don't see what's so hard about somebody. I'd say this to my son. Is there a comprehension problem or what? Do you speak English? I'm sorry. Okay, that's a nerve. Do you see me up here texting while you are talking to me, or you asking me a question? Check your rude scale, okay? Anybody got a question about that? Try to be nice to people. All right. Stat. And if you're one of those people that can't go, take your phone and put it on the floor, or put it in your pocket, or put it in your pocketbook, or whatever, book bag, or whatever. All right. Calculate. And first variable statistic. There's all the information. Remember, X bar and what? SX. And then go down, and your calculator will give you the quartiles. Okay? Capiche? Now, how do you find the box plot? Go to second y is equal. Hit number 1, enter. Turn on. You see the box plots down there? Hit the second one. The second one is just one table. Hit enter, and it's going to ask you for L1, and you hit graph. You're not going to see it unless it looks up and hits in the first quadrant. But hit zoom, and stat is what, 9? I think it's 9. There it is. Now, if you want to see any of that, you have to hit trace. And then move your left and right arrow, and it'll take you to those numbers. Okay? That's how you use it. But like I said, it doesn't matter, which one you do. Question?
After you hit Zoom, what was it? Zoom
9, go down and you look at it and put stat in your notes. Because what it does, it tells the graphing thing to pull up just the stat, which is the stat plot. And it takes out the algebraic portion of your calculator graph. Okay? Now, I just showed y'all pretty much 60% of the test. If you can do that problem we just did on the board, if you can do all of that, you can do pretty much 60% of the test. The only thing left that we've got is z-scores. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up a question I want everybody to write down. And this is where people start going haywire. All right, because, where's my question? There it is. Of course, ignore all those stuff. You don't have to write it word for word. Just write down the numbers and put what they are. I'll blow it up and get rid of all that stuff, or some of it. There we go. What you would do is write down LBJ equals 75. Shaq is equal to 85. And then you would write down President's average, 71.5. President's standard deviation, 2.1. Basketball average, 80. And basketball standard deviation, 3.3. That's all you need to write down. Okay, now if you want to write down the whole thing, knock yourself out. But that's all you need to write. That's the minimum. This is called a a z-score question. Why is it a z-score? Because we're comparing what? Apples to what? Oranges. All right? What is the qualifications for being president of the United States? You have to be 35 years old or 36. Which one is it?
35.
35. You have to be a natural born what? Citizen. And you have to have somewhat of a clean what? Record. All right? You can't be going up there trying to be president and murdering someone. All right? So I don't know what actually, I believe in the Constitution 100%, but I don't have it, word for word memorized. Okay? So, but, why, anybody with two teeth in their head can tell you that Shaq is taller than LBJ. But that's not what the question's asking. What is the question asking? Who is what? Relatively taller. What is relative? What is relative? Relative is sitting in front of your game box, or what is it called? What's the thing called that you play? PlayStation. That's what my son's got. He's got like 15. I think I bought Like I bought a PlayStation 5, I think, or 4. Anyway, I bought 4 of the that blank things, and Xbox. You sit in front of it. How many of you have sat in front of an Xbox or a movie? Okay, let's say a movie, because that's my movie. And it's a 2.5-hour movie, and it felt like it was 15 minutes. And then you sit in my class, and it feels like 4 hours. It's relativity. Okay? That's what theory of relativity is. Same amount of time, just as what you what? It's what you perceive. Relative is also comparing something to its own population. Relative. Okay? It kind of has a double meaning. So, if the qualifications for president does not include anything about physical state, then LBJ is a big fish in a what? Little pond, because there's no height requirement for being president of the United States. He's a big fish in a little pond. But what is Shaq? It's hard for you to think about this, but Shaq is a little fish in a what? Big pond, because if you're a third grader and you're 6 foot, what's the junior high coach going to be doing when you get to junior high? He's going to be coming, hey, what's your name? Why? Because you're tall. And you're in the 5th grade or 6th grade or whatever grade you're in high school. You're 6'1" and you're in the 6th grade. You're going to get a visit from the high school and say, and what's they going to say to you? They're going to tell you to go out for baseball? No, they're going to tell you to go out for what? Basketball. Why? Because one of the advantages of a basketball player is to be what? Tall. So Shaq is a little fish in a big pond. It's all relative. How is it relative to each other? Now, since these two have nothing in common, you have to put them on a z-scale. And you have to compare them using z-scores. Now, the formula for z-score is the given value, I write it down in words, the given value minus the mean over the standard deviation. The given value minus the mean, or the average, over the standard deviation. For those of you that notice it in the lower left-hand corner, what does it say? X minus mu over standard deviation. What is that? Population or sample? Population, because it's in what letters? Greek letters. Okay, so if you saw that in a presentation, you'd say, okay, they're talking about the population. But if it was the sample, it would be X minus what? X bar over what? S. And then you would say, okay, they're talking about the sample. And the presenter does not have to tell you that. You know it because it's in Greek letters. You know that's the population. But I think the formula is the given value, which in this case, you have to figure out 2 z-scores. One for LBJ and one for Shaq. So go ahead and do that. The z-score for LBJ would be 75 minus what? 71.5 divided by what? 2.1. And then do the same thing for Shaq. Draw a normal distribution curve, and instead of the mean and the standard deviation being a big number or a number, the mean and the standard deviation is going to be 0 and 1. 0 in the middle, 1, 2, -1, -2. Now, the further out, just write further out, the more unusual. If I spelled that right, that don't look right. And that would be an ER type question. Who is taller? Who is shorter? who is wider, who is thinner, who is whatever, okay? If it has an ER on it, it asks for who is taller. It is comparing two heights, two weights, two whatevers, okay? Then the further out it is, the more unusual or the taller they are, relatively. Now, what if it's closer? The closer you are, the closer it is to the mean, which means it's more valid. The closer you are to 0, the closer to the actual mean. So that means it's more valid. Now, I don't usually ask the valid type questions. Saw that. But I do hang around when I do give you questions on a test. It's usually going to be one taller, shorter, something like that. The closer the mean thing, that would be in a grade type situation. I made a 32 on an economics test and the class average was blah, blah, blah with a standard deviation of blah, blah, blah. I made a 58 on a psychology test and the mean was blah, 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 standard deviation. Compare the two. And that's where you'll see the closer is better. But it all depends on what the question's asking. So you have to look very carefully at that. So somebody tell me what LBJ came out to be. I'll put him in red.
1.6.
1.6 even or 1.67 or what?
1.66.
1.67. So he's right. There's 1.5. So 1.67 is LBJ. Okay, now I'm going to get a green one, green marker. And what is Shaq?
1.52.
1.5, whatever. That's Shaq. So who is relatively taller? LBJ. I don't think LBJ was the tallest president. I think the tallest president was old Honest who? Honest Abe. But I don't know, but I think Trump and George Herbert, somebody has to look up George Herbert. I think they're the second. I think Trump is first. I think George Herbert Walker, I think he was 6'2" or 6'3". I don't know. I can't remember. I remember he was one of them. So does everybody understand if it's further out, you're more taller, you're more shorter, whatever the case, whatever it's asking. But if it's asking for who's made the better score, then you're talking about closest to the mean. So just be careful when you're doing the grade question versus the height or the weight question. Who was the biggest president? Taft. Who said Taft? Good job. Taft was. Who was the smallest president? Somebody Google it, but I think it was Harrison. No, it wasn't Madison. It was Harrison, I believe. Somebody look that up. He was the shortest. I think he was like, okay, women, you ready for this? Because y'all do average about 5'5", 5'4". He was 5'4". I think. Somebody look it up. I don't know the name.
Who's Madison?
It's who?
James Madison.
Oh, it was Madison. I thought it was Harrison. Maybe I got 5'4". I don't know how 5'4" is. What is it? Here?
He was 5'4".
Oh, that's fine.
That's 3 inches.
5'4". So you got something in common with the president.
And Abraham Lincoln was 6'4".
Yeah, he was dadgum. Granddaddy long legs.
I don't know why you want to do that. He delivered the longest stone.
I like it. There is a president that's 6'3", I thought. Okay, I got it mixed up. Okay, it was this president. He's the second. Okay, sorry. I got it mixed up. You do this 2 or 3 times a day, you get mixed up. I did this yesterday with the 103 class. All right, who's got a question about z-scores? Now let me give you a rundown. 60% of your test will be the problem we did a while ago, parts of that problem. Whether it be mean, median, mode, range, mid-range, variance, or standard deviation. Or 5-number summary box plot. That's 60% of your test. 10% of your test will be about the empirical rule. There'll be a couple of questions on there. Just remember the 15-day premature baby question. I think it's in there. Does anybody know what question I'm talking about? Has anybody seen one on there? Okay, you saw it? Okay, one person saw it, so I'm not crazy. All right? 10%, let's see, we're up to 70%. Probably 20% will come from Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. Quantitative data, qualitative data, discrete. And please go over the discrete and continuous. I explained that to y'all just as easy as I could, and somebody's going to miss the height of a tree. Okay, the height of a tree. Continuous or discrete? Continuous, because you what? Measure it. And I gave you those words. Measure, count. Measure, continuous. Count. Do you measure weight? Yes. Do you measure height? Yes. Do you measure mass? Yes. Volume? Yes. What else? Weight, height. Shoe size. You measure it. Eggs. Cars. That's discrete. But somebody is going to miss that question. I don't know why. What else? Statistics versus statistics parameter, population, sample. Trying to think of something else that I told you. Oh, random sample. What's the key words for random sample? Everybody has the same one. Chance. Now we're up to 90%. Where is the 10% going to come from? Right there. So if I give you 20 questions, 2 are going to be, or 2 or 3 are going to be, and I might give you a lot of these because they're so what? Easy. Okay, who has questions so far on what we covered today? Now, everybody in here is responsible for all your homework. Y'all should be working on these tonight. That's all you should be working on, these. Now, I didn't cover those questions today. I'll cover them Thursday. I'll cover them Thursday. Because I want to give everybody a chance to do their homework, and we'll do nothing but go over questions. If I know I have 2 questions to go over, but let's say I have 2 more, then I'll go over those 4 questions, and I'll pull up the test. If I pull up the test, and put this in your brain, because I don't want anybody to win the test. If I pull up the test Thursday, that means I'm going to assign the test Thursday. Got it? If I have more than 4 questions and I can't get to the test, then it'll be put off to the next Tuesday. You see what I'm saying? I always give you 1 day of review and 1 day to look at the test. And if it's the same day, that's good. That's the way I like it. If it's not, then I go to the next day. So, the latest possible would be next Tuesday I would assign the test. So some of y'all that put off homework, and I know there's probably 5 of y'all, as usually that's the way it works, so about 5 or 6 of y'all that hadn't done a single part of the homework, good luck. I doubt very seriously you're going to get it all done. But anyway, any questions for me? You may not have covered this material so good nobody has any questions. Or you haven't done the homework so you don't have questions. I know I got